I had read earlier today that Robert Mueller, the special counsel, had met with the heads of the Senate Intelligence Committee involved in obviously the ongoing investigation, and we'd all wondered, what is it that they discussed? I don't know for sure that this is what it is, but it seems likely. It has been revealed that the special counsel will be investigating Trump personally for possible obstruction of justice. I mean, well, I don't know what kind of case he could possibly have at this point with the firing of James Comey and the revelation from someone who spoke with Trump yesterday that the ambiguity he put out over the past 48 hours over possibly firing the special counsel was designed to put pressure on the special counsel to quickly sweep the entire thing under the rug, which is, of course, by itself obstruction of justice, but also just from an anonymous source at this point. Now, I'm not particularly surprised by this. I thought that's what the special counsel was investigating this whole time, but now it is actually out there. That is going to be one of the components of the investigation.
If there is nothing to worry about, why fire James Comey? Why, flirt with the idea of firing Mueller? Everything seems very strange to me, and I feel like it doesn't automatically mean that someone's guilty or that there's some shady stuff happening behind the scenes. But it does make people more suspicious. And so if I was being investigated for having questionable ties to Russia, I'd be like, have at it. You can look through my email, you can look through whatever you want, right?
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Okay, but it's strange how far he's going in trying to do away with this investigation.
But it's also Donald Trump who's said on record that he does not forgive, not forget, right? Like Julian Assange style. I mean, he really goes after people who fuck him over. I mean, he's said this time and again that he will go to the end of the earth for revenge. So I don't know what happened, but I think Trump is honestly stupid enough to fire someone and not realize that that's obstruction of justice. I mean, how great would it be if he was impeached over this? It's amazing, just him firing this guy without realizing that could actually get him fired, even if impeached, even if there was no connection with Russia. It's amazing.
I think you're right. I mean, it could be that his messed up psychology makes him look constantly like a person who is doing incredibly suspicious things, and that seems to fit with what we know about him. But we can look at his circle too. I mean, Jeff Sessions, his weird quasi, I'm gonna use executive privilege without actually using it, and refusing to answer questions about conversations he's had with Trump. I mean, Sessions was also being incredibly suspicious. And I know what you're thinking. Look at his face. That's a weird looking guy. He probably acts weird too. And you've got a point, but it's still suspicious.
Also, his refusal to release tax returns and just all of this stuff. It all kind of plays into this larger, it's a piece of a larger puzzle. And if you want this investigation to go away, the best thing for you to do is to cooperate with the investigation if you're innocent, right? If there's no wrongdoing, and it'll go away. It'll go away.
But I think that what you were saying before, Anna, is let's clarify the messaging here, because I think the Democrats have a really poor ability to explain what the Russia collusion is. So you have people actually saying it was hacked, but really it's most likely that Trump just has business dealings, right? And some sort of collusion financially. So why not just say that?
Right.
I don't understand.
I like that you brought this up because this was a discussion we were having during the break. And just to give you guys some context, so look, I think that a lot of people are confused and have different interpretations of this whole Russia investigation, right? And you're absolutely right. Some people think, oh, did Russia hack into our systems and change votes? No, I mean, I don't think anyone's saying that. But I think Democrats are failing at clear and concise messaging as to what they think the real issue is. And I argue that the real issue, it's more of a conflict of interest issue, right? And even before Trump got elected, I believe it was Michael Isikoff published a piece about Trump's financial ties to Russia, which are very relevant, because if you owe Russia a ton of money, right? Are you more likely to push for policies that favor Russia as opposed to the American people? Those are issues that should be looked into, right? So that's the kind of stuff that I think Democrats, if they're genuinely concerned about shady dealings, should focus on and do better messaging on. But by saying like collusion, most people don't even know what collusion is. And saying hacking, well, what do you mean by hacking? That immediately makes people brush this off as not a big deal or not something that should be investigated. When in reality, I think it should be investigated, but I do not believe for a second that Russia had anything to do with the outcome of the election. The Hillary supporters who keep pushing that narrative are ridiculous. Hillary was a flawed candidate. She needs to take responsibility for it. You guys need to take responsibility for it. And more than anything, focus on why it is the Democrats lost and do behavior correction there.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Trump's collusion, he has collusion with every country in the world. He's the first bona fide brand to basically win this ridiculous reality show that we call.
And we're actually going to get to that in just a little bit on our next one.
And the whole, I mean, I wish that Trump actually reversed on the policies. There has been no détente whatsoever. The sanctions are in place, and the Cold War is resurrected. I mean, I would have liked, that was like the one good thing that I thought would come out of his presidency is some sort of normalization with Russia. Instead, it's the opposite.
Young Turks membership creates independent media.
Believe me.
No ads.
Believe me.
All the shows.
Believe me.
On demand.
Believe me.
Support independent media.
Believe me.
It's awesome, tremendous. You'll love it.
Believe me.
And by the end, you'll be thinking,
I'm like a smart person.
tytnetwork.com/join.